Nice meeting you, man.
Show, Stab.
All right, be easy, G.
That's fast.
Sir. And he like a real...
No, I know who he is, man. I know who he is. I heard his music. He's dope.
Yeah, for sure. What's good, y'all? What's good? It's your boy Staz in the building once again. Thank y'all for tuning in. You feel me? We got another episode of the definition of active right here on AZ Way 2 Active. You feel me? To this side of me, we got a state champion.
Yeah.
You feel me? A player of the year. You know what I mean? Pro ball player overseas. You feel me? Multiple countries. An artist.
Yeah.
A coach.
Yes, sir.
And a community leader. I think it's time for y'all to put some respect on his name. ROYCE WOOLRIDGE, you feel me?
What's good? What's good?
What's good with you, bro?
I'm good, man. I want to thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on here and, tell people a little bit about myself. So.
No doubt, man. I think the state, you know what I mean, West Coast and Southwest needs to know your story, you know what I mean? So thank you for coming and being on the show. Before we get started, man, who you got in the playoffs, man? The Suns took a big L this year. Who you got going to the finals, and who you got winning it all this year, bro?
It's crazy what the Suns did, man, because, I was riding with them the past 2 years because it took me a long time to really be a fan because I was like, man, they always do this. They always act like they're good, and then we get there, and then we're fraudulent. And I really, I was all in. I was like, nah, they're not the ones this time. Yeah. And they just turned out to be frauds again, so that hurt me. That definitely hurt me. But I think Golden State has it. Not that I'm, the biggest Golden State fan, but I just think they're just going to run through everybody else because the Celtics are banged up, the Heat are banged up, and then Dallas shouldn't even really be there, so... I got Golden State, man.
Oh, facts, bro. Facts. For sure. All right, so to get us started, man, let the people know, for those who don't know, where did you grow up in Phoenix, and, what part of AZ do you represent?
I'm from North Central Phoenix.
North Central? Okay.
We call it the Slopes. I'm from up on Dunlap and, 15th Avenue Central, just the Sunnyslope area, right above, Uptown.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
How was it growing up out there?
It was dope. I mean, the Slopes is a little different than other places because there's a canal that separates it. So if you live north of the canal in Hatcher, that's kind of the hood, right? Yeah. But if you live on the Bridle Walk or you live below the canal, it's kind of nice. So Slope is kind of a weird place where there's both of those people always interacting, and that's why I think it's such a dope place.
Nice, bro. Nice. All right, so let's get right into it. You know what I mean? Basketball. Who introduced you to the game? How did you get the love for the game? And what made you want to really, pursue basketball? As a youngin.
Man, my mama always tells me that I just basically grew up with a basketball in my hand. Yeah. So from the day I was a baby, if there was a basketball around, I was grabbing it and holding it. And my dad used to play in the NBA, obviously. So
we're gonna get to that, yeah.
Yeah. So I used to watch him play, and then my godfather also played for the Suns. His name's Nickel Knight, and they used to take me to the Suns game when I was a little baby, Charles Barkley holding me and all that. Yeah. So I was just introduced to basketball at a very young age, and I just really, really loved it. From a baby.
Okay. Yeah, I also saw somewhere that your great uncle is Willis Reed.
Yes, my great uncle is Willis Reed. He's a legend, man. He's
NBA legend for those who don't know.
Yeah, he's a legend, and I really appreciate him too, because he's somebody that I call whenever I have something very important. When I went overseas, he's the one that I called, and I was like, "Do you have any advice for me?" And his advice was to be in the best shape I can, because at the end of the day, people can be all skilled and can be very good, but if they can't last, it don't mean nothing. And so that really stuck with me. And so I appreciate him for that advice. But dude's a legend, man.
No, most definitely, for sure. Do you remember, speaking of legends, were you ever around any other NBA legends growing up? Your dad being Orlando Woolridge, played with Jordan, played on the Lakers. You know what I mean? I would say he's an NBA legend because he was, actually putting in work, on the court when he was playing.
Right.
Were you ever, around in the early '90s at all? at games or, practices?
What's crazy is I don't really remember that many like Laker games, but I do remember being at a lot of Suns games with my godfather.
Yeah.
When I was little, like being on the bench with like Charles Barkley, I remember, and like Kevin Johnson and all those guys.
Yeah.
So I always thought that was awesome. And then my dad also coached the LA Sparks for a little bit. And so I was always around like Lisa Leslie. I remember seeing her a lot and her like picking me up when I was a baby. So got to be around those type of people.
For sure. Okay. So recently you had your jersey retired.
Yeah.
Sunnyslope High School. We were just talking earlier. For those of y'all who don't know, this man averaged 30 points a game. You know what I mean? For a season or two, right?
2 seasons.
For 2 seasons. Was really putting in work out here. I would say, in my opinion, one of the top scorers offensively to ever come out of this state.
Damn.
Just, from watching you play in high school, we obviously came up hooping together and shit.
Yes, sir.
How was it having your jersey retired at Sunnyslope? Describe that experience and what it meant to you and your family.
That was one of the best like feelings in the world to me because I love Sunnyslope. Like you know me, I'm always talking about Slope and like how I'm from the slopes and how I want to get back to the community over there and all that. So getting my jersey retired, it just like I felt that the community like kind of appreciated all that I'm doing, and it made me want to do even more because like it's being noticed. And then also like all the work that I put in high school, like I grinded in high school, right, to do all that stuff. So to see it come like full circle like that and being able to get my jersey retired, it's like, man, like you deserve that, man. You worked really hard for that. So it was a huge accomplishment for me. A lot of people say that like can't say that they have something like that. So it's something I'll always cherish. And I get to see it every day too. So.
Most definitely, man. That shit is incredible, y'all. Real talk. And one thing I did notice, man, just by, reading about you, besides being a homie, just reading about you as a basketball head, one thing that really stood out to me was, you was going crazy, hooping, getting the accolades and everything. But one thing that a lot of people said was that, you always stayed down to earth, humble, talking to everybody, was somebody that could really just be a person that they could talk to, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like a community activist, even while you was a star basketball player.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where does that humbleness come from? What makes you just so down to earth, even when you're, one of the top players in the state?
That's a good question. In high school, it's because I didn't think of myself as a basketball player. I think a lot of people like identify as a basketball player. So if they play basketball, it's like I'm a basketball player and that's their identity. And in high school and like growing up, I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't just basketball. I wanted to be more than that. And I was always taught to treat others how you want to be treated. That's something that like I really truly live by. Yep. And so that's just something that I try to do with others. And I just like I believe in karma, so I feel like if I acted a certain way, it would come back to me eventually. And I feel like good things come to good people, whether it comes early or it comes late. So, I mean, that's just something that I always live by. And then also, it's like, in today's world, there's a lot of bad people, right? Yeah. So I want to set an example of what a good person looks like. And hopefully I can make a difference in my community. And from there, it can make changes. Because you can't change the world, but you can change, like, where you live. And that's always been my thought.
Most definitely, man. Most definitely. So, we went through Sunnyslope, college ball, right?
Yeah.
You played at University of Kansas, Washington State, and finished out here at Grand Canyon University.
Yeah.
Explain to the people who, don't know the lifestyle, what was, a great experience for you, in college? What school did you have the best experience at playing ball? Where did you think you really fine-tuned your game, in college?
That's a good question. I would say I enjoyed Kansas the most.
Okay.
Because we were like number one in the country, everybody was really, really good. I felt like I grew a lot. I met the Morris twins. They taught me a lot. Like Tyshawn Taylor taught me a lot. So I grew so much as a basketball player that year and playing against that competition and like, I felt like that got me ready. And then I went to Washington State. And I feel like that could have been a better experience. But I mean, the coaches there, we just didn't mingle like we should have, and that's why I took my graduate year. I had one more year, and I just decided to come home and get my graduate degree because Washington State, it wasn't the best experience, but it was dope. I did ball out. I had a good season.
He was balling for sure.
But Kansas was dope, man. Kansas was ill.
What made you want to come back to Grand Canyon for your last year?
When I was at Washington State, our coaches had got fired right before my last year, and the new coaches came in, and like, no disrespect to them, but they were super like militant, and like it was my last year, and I'm like, can I have some fun playing basketball?
For real,
you know what I'm saying? So I called Marley actually, and I was like, hey man, like I don't know if I want to do it out here. So I know you guys are trying to build a program up there. I know you guys are D1 now. I was like, I wouldn't mind coming back home. And he's like, that's a bet. And so then we just made it happen from there.
Okay. Dope, man. Dope. So you play college ball. You play at Grand Canyon. You're done playing. What made you, decide, okay, I'm going to take my talents overseas? Was the NBA ever a thought in your mind? Did it ever cross your mind? And, how was that process coming out of college?
It did cross my mind. I had like a very small opportunity where I probably could have made the draft. I think it was my first year or second year that I was playing at Washington State. Mm-hmm. And I remember like I was playing not too good at the beginning of the year, but they were trying to like make me a point guard. They were telling me you can't shoot, like, you know what I'm saying, you have to pass it, which is fine. Like I like being a point guard, but I can also score. Yeah. And I remember like playing in the game, and I was just like, man, like fuck it, I'm gonna just go, you know. And I went and I had 36 points that game, and then the next game I had like 29, and the next game I had like 27, and I was chopping in the Pac-12. And then like my name started to come up at the end of draft boards, and I was all excited. And then the next year, going into the next year, I like fractured my wrist second game against Gonzaga. And then the rest of the year, like I just couldn't shoot, and then it went down from there. So literally, once I got done at GCU, I was working as a bouncer at this club called Dakota out in Scottsdale.
Oh yeah, damn.
Yeah. So
Dakota.
I was just a bouncer out there, like just trying to figure things out, man. That was crazy. And then I literally got this message from this agent, and he's like, "Hey man, like I'm so and so. I might have an opportunity for you." And I was like, "Well, that's a bet." And so I took that opportunity, and then I just went from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you got the opportunity. You played in Slovenia.
Yeah.
Turkey, Austria, and Poland.
Yes, sir.
What was your favorite city or country city that you played at? And name, a crazy experience that you, were a part of in one of those countries. It doesn't have to be like a bad or a crazy story you don't want nobody to know, but explain, living in that city.
Right. I got two places that I thought were probably equally as amazing, and one was Turkey. I lived in Izmir, Turkey, which is on like the western part of Turkey, and my apartment overlooked the ocean, and the food was like amazing. I told you I gained 20 pounds. Like, it was amazing. Like, we go to the club, they're playing Young Thug, like it's lit. Like
that's hard.
There's a Popeyes at the mall next door. Like it was crazy, man. And so I had a lot of fun. And what's funny is one of my good friends that I played with at Washington State, he ended up playing for a team in Izmir too. And so he lived like 20 minutes away. DJ Shelton, so he used to just like drive over and come see me, and then, you know what I'm saying, like we'd hit the club, we go to this street called Donaire Street where they had all this street food, and it was popping. But my other favorite place was Austria, because I lived like 45 minutes from Vienna, and that was crazy. Like I remember one time, one of my teammates was like, "Hey man, like we're going to this like underground, I don't even know, like concert or something like that," and he's like, "You want to go?" And I'm like, I'll try it. And he's like, "It's not the kind of music that you'll like, but you should try it out." I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm like, with all these, they're from Italy, so I'm with all these Italians, and like we go to this like underground like club that's like under this museum, and it was crazy. I remember us like walking in, and then they have this like fat DJ like in the front, and there's like all these people like walking around, and it's like that like German stuff. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And then I walk down and I go to the right, and then there's like this cave. And it's like completely like pretty much dark in there, and people got like glow on stuff, and they're like flinging stuff around, and it's like, and I just remember like being in there and just being like, I'm like, this is so different from what I'm used to, and it just like really opened my eyes. And I also met like some really cool people out there that were like artists, and so like they were like photographers, or they were painters, or they were singers. And what's crazy in Austria is their mindset is like they don't think that like sports are cool. So like if you're a basketball player, like that's whatever, right? Or like if you're like a big honcho man, like that's whatever. But what's dope out there is being an intellect. Like so like if you're smart, that's what's dope. Like so like a basketball player here would be like a doctor there, you know what I'm saying? And then like something else that's really cool about their culture is like normally when you talk English, when you go overseas, like they don't talk English, right? They'll talk to each other in their language, which makes sense. It'd be the same thing if you came to America, right?
Yeah.
But when you go to Austria, like they really try to go out of their way to speak English, and that's just part of them being like intellects because they want to learn. Okay. And so I just like their whole mindset. Like I thought that was dope, man, and that really kind of shaped who I am today too.
Nice, man. Nice. All right, so we're gonna turn to the music real soon, but I want to ask you, man, what do you think about the current state of Arizona basketball nowadays? Has the talent, grew from, when we was coming up? Do you think it has that national attention now more than before? What is your take on, the talent coming up nowadays in Arizona and the overall scene?
I mean, I think since I've been here, the talent has just been crazy, right? And I think it's like kind of like reached a whole nother level now. Like we got like Koa Pete, who's like the number one freshman in the country. Like Marvin Bagley when he was in high school, you know what I'm saying? And so it's just amazing to see the Arizona basketball players, like how many good players there are. Like, cause in our time there was a couple, right? But it wasn't like it is today. Now it's like, oh yeah, Arizona got hoopers, you know what I'm saying? And you're looking at us and our teams are like some of the top in the country, and our players are like some of the top in the country. And then you got like Arizona Compass Prep and Hillcrest Prep, and like we're really killing the basketball scene right now. And I think it's a big takeover for Arizona, and I think it's a big opportunity for a lot of kids. So I think it's dope.
Dope, yeah. Y'all better pay attention, man. Arizona, man. We coming, man. Basketball for sure, for sure. All right, so we gonna switch it, man, to the music, man. For y'all that don't know, man, Young Dad, you feel me? The artist, you feel me? The master of the jig wave.
Jig wave.
Jig wave, you feel me? North Phoenix, cul-de-sac, represent. Explain to the people what jig is. What is jig wave? How did that come about, man?
And basically, I'm all about the jig. And so, like, if you know me, I like to just, like, dance around and just, like, be stupid or whatever. And so me and my homie Justin, we always called it the jig. Like, we just, like, put on some music and then just jig. And so that transformed into me starting to make music. And I'm like, man, this is the type of music that made me want to jig, right? And it's just like a feeling. Like, a jig is just, like, just feeling good and being able to be yourself. And so the jig wave is bringing that type of music to make you feel that way.
Okay. Did you ever have to put up with any of like the stigma, like, oh, this is a basketball player trying to be a musician? Did that ever come to you, or were you always kind of making music, coming up as a youngin' too?
So I've been making music since I was like 15 years old.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know that, and like that's what's crazy, because if people heard my music, they probably don't even give it a chance because they know me as a basketball player.
Yeah.
But like I got some bangers, you know that. But basically what happened when I was 15, we had our little group, the cul-de-sac, right? Like, I used to always talk about the cul-de-sac. And it was me, my homie Justin, my homie Grant, my homie Chase, and we made songs. Like Grant would make beats and then we'd rap on them, and like we'd show all our little Sunnyslope friends, and they used to love it. Like they used to play it at the beach, like it was popping. But I never really wanted it to get out. Because I didn't want to get in trouble, right? Because the stuff we were talking about, you're younger. And I hooped too, and I didn't want to get a bad rep, you know what I'm saying, as being like a bad kid or something, even though, you're just messing around.
Yeah, exactly.
So I never wanted to take it too serious, but I loved doing it. And then when I would come back in the summers, I would just like get more and more into it. Like, man, I really like doing this. I really like doing this. And so like I literally have songs from when I was 15, and then I made like another EP when I was like 18, 19. Like I have so many songs. I probably have over 100 songs. But it's just something that I've always loved to do, and it's kind of like been my escape, because everybody needs something to kind of get you away from the world, and I think that music does that for me.
Oh, most definitely. And how did Young Dad come about? How did you get that name, Young Dad?
So I feel like it's the weirdest nickname, but like people, they call me Young Dad, they call me like that's just my name. But it happened in college, because we used to mess around, and we used to call each other like oh, what's up, pops? Like, what's up, dad? Like, I don't know, just being stupid. And I got father figure tatted on my traps when I was like 18 or something.
Okay.
And so our homie Young Heem used to call me Young Father Figure.
Okay.
And so that's how it started. And then like everybody started to say like I act like a dad and I dress like a dad. And then so it just became like dad. And then my nickname just became Young Dad. And it's stuck since. It's crazy.
Oh, most definitely, man. You definitely have a very a very different style, when it comes to the music, when it comes to the fashion and all that. But, it's something that we need out here in Arizona. We need a breath of fresh air. We need, new music, new styles and all that, because that'll bring more attention to Arizona.
Yeah.
And piggybacking off that, what do you think of the scene out here in Arizona, the artists out here, and what needs to happen for Arizona to have more eyes on it? As far as music goes.
So, as I started to make more music, I've been able to see more and more of the Arizona music scene. Mm-hmm. And it's unreal how talented these artists are. Yeah. I've met like some of the most talented artists like I've ever heard. Like I'm hearing their songs like, man, this is like unreal. And so, and I don't think a lot of people know how good the Arizona music scene is because we're not really put out there. I feel like if more people in Arizona listen to Arizona artists, they would be surprised, right? And they would give us more pub. But I don't really know what needs to happen, but I feel like we need to just channel like all the talent that we have into like one place, right?
Yeah.
And like if we all came together, even though we all do different things and just like really came as a movement, as like this is Arizona, like this is our movement, these are our artists, this is the music that we're doing, and we came as like one full force. I think that's how we would make a movement. Because we have the talent. It's like unreal. Like I have some friends, like I have a friend named Rose Otadi that is like unbelievable. I have another friend named Josh Caballes who's like, you should hear this boy sing. Like it's crazy, man. Like R&B, like crazy. And so I just think it needs more attention. I think more people in Arizona need to just give Arizona artists a chance because they're dope. Got
you. And you mentioned earlier your partner, production partner, Robbie, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So tell me how y'all linked up, man. Have y'all been tight since youngins, or how did that relationship form?
So that relationship formed actually pretty crazy. I have a friend named Ryan who's just like this random like accountant, and one of his friends that he worked with is Robbie's wife.
Okay.
And so at the time they were talking, and he was like, "Yeah, I have a friend that likes to rap," and she was like, "Oh, my husband is a producer," and so they kind of hooked us up. And it's funny because Robbie will tell me like when I first came in, he's like he heard like, oh, like I do music, whatever. So he's like, this is probably like some whatever shit. Yeah. And then like he heard me spit and stuff, and then he liked it, and so he's like, oh, we should start doing more and more stuff together. We started doing more and more stuff, and then what's crazy is I would just like sit there and watch him like do all this producing stuff and like cut everything and like just do everything, and I used to just sit there and just like be amazed. But I like really like tap in, and then I would ask him questions and stuff, and then from that I learned how to make beats too. And so basically we both like just loved working with each other, and we felt like we pushed each other. And so we've been friends for about 5 or 6 years. Okay. And we're both part of the Jig Wave. He's produced all my albums. We make beats together. Like that's like my ride or die when it comes to music. So I appreciate him like the most, at most.
Dope, man, dope. So let the people know, man, what you got coming up next as far as music goes, man. You got any videos, any shows, any new singles or any projects dropping?
I'm working on a new project right now, actually. I got like 2 songs that I got like almost finished, and then I'll probably drop a single, but I haven't dropped a rap album in about like 2 years.
Yeah.
So I want to come with one more like fire rap album. And then of course we're going to do the Jig Wave 3. We do that like every summer. Yeah. And so we're going to start working on that probably in the next month or so. So that should drop at the end of the summer. And then hopefully I can drop my rap project here in the next like month or 2. And then, expect like some visuals, expect all that, man. It's going to be dope. I'm excited to come back out because I got some fire coming.
For sure, man. And I wanna come to the next little Jig Wave function, man.
Right. You see the concert?
Yeah.
Bro, it's crazy.
Things are lit, bro.
Bro, I got to start inviting you to all the functions. My homie Garrett be doing all types of functions, like yoga functions, like jam festivals. So really trying to get the community together.
And AZ Way Too Active, man. We offer the community, you feel me? We want to tap into North Phoenix, you feel me? The Slopes, you feel me? We got some homies from the Slopes, you feel me? North Phoenix. Shout out Justice. Shout out Dan G. They from the North, you feel me? But
Yes,
you know,
sir.
we really want to, you know, cover the the northern area of Phoenix as well. We think it's definitely lit out there. And lastly, to wrap it up, man, what kind of advice do you have to the upcoming basketball players out here that are trying to make it to the level that you made it, and then as well as upcoming artists in music? You know, what do they need to do to, you know, make it to the next level, in your opinion?
That's a great question. I think for basketball players, what's most important is a couple things. But first is you got to be willing to put in the work. You can't say that you want something so bad and not be willing to put in the work. Like, you can't think that you want to be really, really good, but like want to sleep in on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to do that, I respect it, but you got to put in the work. You got to put in the time. And another thing, and this goes with both like artists and basketball players, is like be willing to listen, right? Like don't think that you know everything, because you can learn so much from other people. Yeah. So take criticism, man. Like even if it's bad, like ask people, like what am I doing wrong? Like you need that type of criticism, and you need to like just take what everybody says, and then you can form your own ideas and everything like that. But you got to listen to people. You can't think you know everything.
Got you.
And then for artists, man, I would just say be true to yourself, man, because I feel like as artists, it's not about doing it like for the money or like to be famous and all that stuff. And I think a lot of people are starting to make music just for that. And so my advice to like artists was just stay true to yourself and believe in what you're doing. You still have to like, you know, get yourself out there, but don't be something you're not just to like make money or be famous. Like stick to you as an artist and be yourself, and then truly believe in yourself and ride for yourself. Again, put in the work, because you know you got to put the work in. So
got you.
That'd be my advice.
For sure, man. Y'all heard it from the man. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
Royce Woolridge, young dad. You feel me?
Young dad.
AZ basketball legend, big time legend. You feel me? And a super dope upcoming artist out here. Thank you for joining me.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you for having me, my dog.
You know what I mean? The link up is real. AZ Way Too Active, you feel me? That's a wrap. We got some more dope episodes coming in the future. Y'all stay tuned. It's your boy Staz. We out.
Yes, sir.